Hi everybody, Austin at Homeowners Financial, and I had a lot of feedback from the general budget class that we did last time to be like, but what do I actually do a budget? How do we get in that nitty gritty? So I wanted to create this class, this exercise, this video about working backwards so that we can balance your bank account and really achieve your goals. So I'm gonna share my screen. Let's get this PowerPoint going. Rock and roll high five. Boom, boom, and boom. Here we go. All right. So when we're talking about a basic budget, we really need to get some encompassing information overall. So, hey, look, this is us. We are the Lamson team over at Homeowners Financial, right? That's us. Yay, go team! I will say this slide actually should be updated because as of today, October 21st, 2021, we did win Santa Barbara Best of for the 5th year in a row. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so grateful. But that's all of our fabulous folks. And what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover a budget overview, right? What money do you actually have to spend? What is your trade value? What do you spend your money on? How can you rearrange your spending for success? And then some tips, some tricks, and thoughts. Like, look, I've been married for 19 years. When we first got married, we were broke kids out of college, and we had different opinions and values and conversations around money, right? So I always tell the story of when my husband and I again first got married. I would balance a budget and I'd be like, oh, how much does that cost? He's like, $20. And it's like $23.95. So it'd be like overdrawn by like $3. I'd be like, ugh, right? So this is normal that people don't have these conversations. This is normal, right? So I want to give you some tips and tricks that helps us make everything successful, not just for your relationships, but your bank account and both of them together, right? So what is a budget? Let's talk about an overview. So very generally, a budget is made up of how much you earn and how much you spend for any period of time. Now remember that means that your budget could be for a month, right? Which is what we're going to focus on. It could be for a year, right? It could be for 6 months. It could be saving up to buy a house in 5 years, right? And having a good budget means that you're aware of the incoming, the outgoing, what your habits are, what your needs are, what your wants are. It's a very, very big picture idea that really rounds down into dollars and cents. And these things are always going to be in flux, right? So give yourself some grace. Just be open that things are going to be shifting and move. The best thing we can really do is acknowledge what we have, consider what it's worth, plan, and then adjust because life is always in flux. So this is what a sample budget looks like. This is from our 6 Steps to Financial Freedom course, which is also here on YouTube. If you want a base on this, I've got the spreadsheet. I'm happy to send you. I literally do it every month. My team does it every single month. So it's very, very basic. You can see on the far side, that first column is the name of the bills, right? How much you're spending on your house, how much are you spending on your car, how much is on credit cards, right? I mean, do you have gas, do you have electric, right? The next column is that minimum owe you each month, right? And then how much we're going to spend and how much we saved in paychecks. So let's break that down. Let me give you something a little bit sooner. So across are the categories that we track, and then down are the items that we track. So again, the name of the bill, how much we owe each month, how much did we actually pay towards that? Did we save anything? Because if you have a mortgage and you're paying more than the minimum, it's going towards principal. That's savings, right? If you have debt and you're paying it off, that's savings. That's your future savings, right? And then the total of the paychecks. And I think it's important to remember too that the total of paychecks, we're talking about your take home. So at the bottom of this budget are the totals of what we track, and then the totals of what we have in each bucket of assets, right? So at the end, when we look through all of our giving or spending, our doctor bills, our car, what is our survival number? That survival number is that base number that needs for you to live. Base number for survival. It does not include your savings. It does not include, say, getting your nails done unless maybe you really need that, but it's your medicines, right? It's your food, it's your utilities, it's that base idea. The next one, the total checks row, is everything that exited your account. How much did you actually spend? And then there's the total amount saved, right? That's your 401k, your money market, the example I gave earlier when we're paying down our principal. And then there's also the net income for the month, right? Now in this budget, you want the total that you checks wrote and the total of the income of the month to match. You're like, yeah, but that means I'm spending everything I earned. Well, it means no, you're allocating everything that you earned. Because remember, on this sheet, we have how much is going into your IRA, how much is going into your money market account, how much is going into savings. So the total that you come in is the total that you go out, and what bucket do we put it into? And the bottom, again, these are the asset types, right? So your right side is your net worth, right? Your 401k, your mutual funds, right? Your stocks and bonds, right? Your equity in your home, if you have rental properties. What are all those numbers, right? A lot of that's cash, except for the equity, which is not a cash net worth. It's part of your total net worth. And that's going to again flow through to this other side, the left side, where it has your money market balance. Now, your money market account, if you remember from the 6 steps of financial freedom, that is your just in case money. So when we talk about the 6 steps of financial freedom, it's tracking the money, it is paying down our consumer debt, and then it's establishing this money market account, which should be 3 times your survival number. So once we're out of debt, we say, gosh, there's a reason that I had to put money on my credit card for a vacation, for a car expense, right? Things that are unknown. So we're going to build this 3 times our survival number into an account, and that's our just in case money. That is not your long-term savings. It is not for a house. It's not your retirement. It is literally your just in case money. And you can include that in your stocks and bonds as well. So it's going to tell you on the form that we use what that number needs to be. It's going to look at your survival number, automatically calculate it 3 times that amount, and say, here's how much you should have as just in case, right? It's going to tell you how much you've saved each month out of your paycheck. It's going to tell you how much you've saved year to date, because this goes month by month. It's a 12-month running total. And it's going to do your cash net worth, which is, again, that 401k, the mutual fund, the stocks, and then your total net worth, where we're adding the equity if you do know properties. And then last but not least, giving year to date. Okay? So again, what are we tracking? That survival number is the minimum it costs to live your life, right? I mean, full disclosure, I get my eyebrows done, right? They used to like touch when I was a kid, so now, they wax them off. Well, I could pluck them. I don't have to spend that money, right? I mean, maybe that's a girl thing, right? But that's not a survival need for me. But I need food, right? And I need vitamins. I need to stay healthy. Those are survival costs. And the total check store, again, how much do we actually spend, save, give? It's gotta match your net income. If we're spending more than we're taking in, it'll be negative. And that's where it comes in from that money market float account, right? And the total money saved is your retirement. Did you put it in the market? Did you pay off debt? Did you build additional equity, right? And then again, that net income, if you're not sure what to put here, there's a class for that. We'll be helping you calculate that too, okay? So what money do you have to spend? Well, you can only spend what you take home after taxes. You can get a tax rebate, maybe you want to scratch it, but really when we're looking at our budget, it's what we're taking home after taxes. This is your net income for the month. Like, very simply, you could look at how much gets deposited into your checks each month. Like, if you don't want to look at your paycheck and do a calculation, which I'm going to show you on the next slide, just look at how much is going into your account each month, right? And if your income is variable and you want to plan, take your year-to-date net pay and divide it by the pay date and give us an average of your income. Again, I'm going to show you this on the next slide as well, right? So for me, we are on commission, so my income will change each month. Maybe you work overtime, right? If you're working USP, well, if you're working in the Postal Service or Amazon, you're probably working all the time right now. But, it's going to be seasonal, right? Are you a teacher, right? Does it change? Do you have a summer savings? Do you get bonuses? So that's the variability of pay. Now, some months, can vary to actuality, but this way you really know a general sense of what's coming in, right? Again, if you work on commission or bonus, maybe separate your base pay for like an annualized budget, right? And then you put bigger ticket items out of your variable earnings, right? So like each month I know I have to pay my mortgage, but my property taxes are a bigger chunk, and I'll take that from my commission number, or my vacation from a commission number, right? Or that's what I'm going to use to save for a new car, right? So looking again at money that we have to spend, here's how you kind of calculate that average pay I mentioned. So this is a sample paycheck I found online. So it's really your year to date divided by the reporting period equals your average pay. So you can see here the year to date pay, that's that little arrow down at the bottom, is 4134.9. And in this scenario, again, the reporting period ended in February 13th. So that means it's a month and a half. So 1.5 months into the year, right? So we take our 4134.9 divided by 1.5, and that equals 2756.6. So that's your average pay. So in this scenario, you would base your budget off of taking home 2756.6. Again, this was a sample paycheck I found online, not completely relevant for most people, but just giving you ideas of how to do that. So the next thing I want to touch on is, what is your trade value, right? This is how much you net for every hour that you work. You are literally trading your life, right? The time that we spend, the time that I came in on the weekend to work on this for you, right? The time that I'm away from the home, right? The time that you're trading for an object, for a service, for a necessity or desire, right? I have these a lot of conversations with people on my team, especially when they haven't had a lot of education on budget. I'm like, okay, so your take home is $20 an hour. Well, how much is your cell phone bill? Do you need to order that Grubhub? I had a temp here and he was ordering Grubhub Chick-fil-A delivery. And I was like, you're spending $7 versus driving. Like, is that worth it, right? And if it's worth it to you, it's worth it to you. It's your value, right? I'm just telling you how to look at it. So just keep this in mind when you decide if you really need that trinket or that swipe with a card, right? That again, that online delivery versus making it yourself, right? And it also helps you figure out a savings plan for bigger ticket items, right? If we're taking home $20 an hour and there's a new purse I want and it costs $100, well, that's 5 hours of my time, right? That's 5 extra hours of my life that I'm dedicating to this one single object. I use a lot of chick things in these scenarios, but it's all good. You guys get it too. So again, remember that example that we just had on the paycheck, right? Where we had the average monthly pay, right? So taking this example a step further, if you work 40 hours a week, then your trade value on this scenario is your average monthly pay divided by 173.33. So the reason it's that number is that it's 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, and that's your total divided by 12 months, right? Equals 1733.33. So if you take your average pay and we divide it by 173.33, that's your average hour trade value. Again, we're using the net pay. Now, this is pretty nerdy, but it's a really great number for everybody to remember. So what do you spend your money on, right? Going back to that budget, that survival number is the minimum it takes to run your life. This is a combination of necessities and basic lifestyle items, but we have to cover our necessities first, right? Our food, our housing, our transportation, our utilities, lifestyle, spending, going out vacation. You know, again, I've been married for 19 years. And so when my husband and I first got married, we'd say, okay, we have $20 to go out this week, right? We can go and get taqueria. We've actually figured out how to get sushi for $30. It's edamame. It's amazing. You get like an order of the sushi combo, and then you get like 2 other things, and you get out of there for $30 if you're not drinking. Anyway, just saying. So these are minimum payments on debt. This does not include savings, right? This is just literally what it's taking you to get through the day. The next part of it is, what do you spend your money on, right? Your total checks wrote is the sum of everything that's going out each month. And it has to equal your net income, right? Otherwise, you're spending more than you earn. You're just going into credit card debt. Now, will that happen? Yeah, it's life. It literally took me like 5 years to pay off our honeymoon. True story, right? Did you pay more on the minimum credit card? That is where you're going to add this number in, right? What about an extra to your mortgage? And just make sure you're giving yourself for any pre-tax 401k contribution. So, there's a line item. We're taking out 401k from the top. You can add it at the bottom for the paycheck level and just line it out there so that you're not like, well, wait a second. You said net pay, but my 401k is on top of that. So just add that in at the bottom so it's an offset, right? So again, your total check works are the total payments on debt and does include savings. It includes everything, right? So the total you saved a month is the total that you contributed to all of the savings accounts and plans. So again, be sure to give yourself that credit for any pre-tax 401k, or maybe you have an HSA account, anything in the total, right? You're going to add it back down in the total checks wrote and that total incoming so they offset, right? Because you're not taking it from your net income. So your IRA, you're doing post-tax retirement savings, right? Money market, right? Is your money market float balance in line with how much you actually need, right? And remember to save for future events, because some things are not on a monthly basis, right? So my car insurance is once a year. Well, that's, I think my car insurance is like $1,100 right now. And so I got to make sure that I have that in my budget so that it's not just an OMG surprise, right? So when we're looking at our budget, yes, this is a monthly incoming and outflowing, but make sure you're including anything that is a standard annual basis. So your net worth is your assets after any liabilities. Your cash net worth is your liquid assets, your counts, right? Money you can access, you can liquidate, you can get at it. And your total net worth includes the non-liquid assets. Now, maybe you have some really cool car and you want to add your car in there. I don't personally do my car. I just do our house in there. And then we don't own any rental property, but we lent money to my in-laws to help them with their mortgage. So that's a lien on their house, right? So that's an asset there. So your money market balance is that just in case money. It should match that money market float figure, right? That money market float, that's your lifestyle for 3 months. The percentage save each month, how much did you save in relation to how much you spent? Cash net worth, what is liquid? Total net worth is your cash net worth plus the equities or the non-liquid assets. My father-in-law has like gold doubloon, right? That's a non-liquid asset. Yes, he could sell it, but it's not like you're just spending. I really hope you're not spending gold doubloons at the market, right? 401k balance, how much is in your retirement? Fun fact, if you are switching jobs or you have switched, it's really important that you're rolling those 401ks together, either into a new IRA or to a new 401k. If you ever need to borrow it, it's going to be the total of in a single account. Mutual fund balance, again, these are investing, these are REITs, right? Stock balance, stocks, bonds, crypto, just general investments. And again, your equity at home, and that's the value of your property minus how much you owe. And then value in rentals, some things value the rentals minus how much you owe. So how can you rearrange your spending for success? Well, start by going through your past spending to see what your habits are. No judgment. No judgment. Just what are you spending your money on? It's all good. You got to know where you are to figure out how you can get to what's next. So what's important, right? What is important to you from them, right? It's really important. Like Scott on my team, when he and his wife were working to save money for a house, she was going to Starbucks like pretty consistently. And he's like, hey, you're spending $5 on coffee a day. So for them, she's like, coffee means a lot to me. I really enjoy it. Like, all right, well, how about we do it once a week? Right? So you get that enjoyment, but you're not spending extra, right? So they punted the extra, but kept the enjoyment. And remember, your trade value is going out to lunch each day worth an hour of your time. I don't know, you tell me. It's your trade value, right? So start by going through your past spending and see what your habits are. And there, try and take a 90-day sample, right? It's not a single snapshot in time. There could be bills like, oh, I forgot about that. That's the thing I need to pay it, right? Because your budget is a daily, a monthly, a weekly. It's a lifetime concept, but we really have to work with what's coming in each month. And the longer period of time that you analyze, the more accurate you can be. Do not get lost in the weeds, right? You probably don't need more than a 6-month time frame. So talking about rearranging our spending for success, what are your true basic necessities? You could say, Austin, it's a necessity for me to get my nails done or my hair done. It's a necessity for me to take my dad out to lunch on Fridays because he's only going to be around for so long. That's a true story, right? What are your priorities? What are your pastime? What brings you joy, right? And what tweaks can you make in your spending? Can you pack a lunch? Can you pre-prep your coffee, right? Where do you want to have more leniency? Where do you want to have more focus? And then let's start by working backwards, right? We're going to take our net income for the month and we subtract our survival number. And this tells you how much you have for savings and spending. This is that extra cash flow, right? Well, I know that if it takes, I bring home $2,000 and my survival number is 1,000. I therefore have another $1,000 of disposable cash flow that I can either save or spend, right? And then we're going to break that up again. What do you need to save for a monthly? Again, car insurance, property taxes, long-term purchase goals. Do you need a new car, right? What does that look like for you? What do you want to spend each week? What do you want to spend for a big event? One of our team members just had a baby. Yay, welcome Naomi, right? And so when we were doing her budget, she moved in with her boyfriend. They're not engaged because they're not, but right. And they moved in together, and she's like, well, my rent changed. And I was like, okay, but you're gonna have a baby, so we need to start planning on savings so that you have a buffer for any needs that might pop up for her. And so we had a Naomi line, right? So for her daughter, like that's where we started moving some cash that we're acknowledging that we're saving for her versus just going into the other goals that we have. So let's talk about some tips, some tricks, and some thoughts. So what are your true basic necessities? You tell me, right? Like where is it going to get joy in this, right? We're going to have more focus. I know I am saying this again, but I really, really want you to have this conversation, right? You're trading your literal life for money. And what are these things? Where is that value? It's your value, whatever works for you, right? So look, if you want to work on your credit score, remember break up different spending habits on different credit cards, right? So we got a credit class. Remember, credit's about data, right? We want more things reporting for us. The more data, the better. Maybe you have one for food. Maybe you have one for gas. Maybe you have one for general spending. It'll help you track of how much you're doing and also build your credit score because you're going to be constantly paying that back each month, right? And it's going to, again, let you see those habits. Try cash. Yes, it's a 4-letter word. It is a great way to, it does so many things, right? So one, it allows you to just directly say, all right, I know I have $100 and this is all I can spend this week. And that's what you save and that's what you use until it's gone. Not just the swipe, not the click here, right? Not the Apple Pay. Literally you do it until it's gone. But it's a really, really good way to avoid relationship challenges, right? Because if you don't see it, you can't argue over it. I gave you that example where my husband's like, oh, it's $20. And it's $23.95. I'm like, oh my God, now we're overdrawn. The sky is falling. Argue, right? And I'm like, wait, let's just move to cash. Like, if it's important to him and he gets his $100 a week and that's your gas money or eating out money or whatever you're going to set that parameter around. But if it's important to him and he can do it within his budget, great, right? If it's important to me and I can do it within my budget, great. We had some friends that would argue because he loves disc golf and they were really working on saving. And she's like, you spent $10.95 at the golf course, right? Like, what is going on? Why did you buy that extra thing? Don't you know we're trying to save, right? And he's like, yeah, but it's in our budget. And she's like, I don't care, because she doesn't disc golf, right? It's not important to her. So I said, well, why don't you guys switch to cash? So they switched to cash. Now they don't see it. You spend your money, I spend mine. You can roll it over and save it for something bigger. It's a huge trick, right? Remember your trade value and the bigger value of things. Remember that the trick right now is every $100,000 in house price costs around $600 a month, right? So that car payment just costs you $100,000 in qualification, right? I talked to some clients today and we're like, well, they're like, oh, we really just want to put 20% down. We'd like some cash left over. We sell this house. And I was like, well, if you want to buy at that price point, you're going to have to put 25% down or pay off your car. The car is $30,000. 25% down is another $100,000. What is more important to you? Oh, well, like, oh, pay off the car, right? And if you don't know where to start, take your cash flow and divide it by 5. That's easy, right? So remember, our cash flow is our net income minus our survival number. It's what left over, and divide it by 5. Put one portion into long-term savings account and then use the other 4 for spending, right? That is week 1 spending, week 2 spending, week 3 spending, week 4 spending, right? That way you know you're going to live within your budget for your weekly spending and you're saving 20% of your take home, right? That's a huge big deal. Use this as your allowance, right, for eating out and general spending. Anything that's not that hard necessity. That is about 25 minutes of information. Thank you so much for taking the time for listening. My name is Austin Lamson. I am with Homeowners Financial. I'm here to help for anything that you need. And let us know, please, if you want to get a copy of the budget, happy to give it to you. Make it a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.